Hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing? It's me, Niecy Denise, back for another video. I'm at lunch and I thought I'd get in a really quick reading. Shout out to all the new subscribers over on YouTube. I appreciate your support. That channel is growing and I'm super excited about it. Just to recap, what I've been reading the last couple of months would be Over the Reptilians, Ascension. Also, I brought in Tartary, Cabbage Patch Kids, and we've discussed at length Claudio Nicelli's work for like the last year and a half, all of his books, pretty much. I think I've read all of them to you. He has a couple of new books that are out, and I have been reading, and I started as of Monday, Can We Escape the Simulation? Okay, and I'm trying to hit this one hard so we can get through it, because I think it's very important to see build that foundation of what we now know this world is or what it has become. Because if you don't know the past, then how can you effectively change the present and the future, right? It's all linear. It's all interconnected. The past is the present is the past. And most people don't understand that. Then also I've laid in the Book of Wisdom, right? We've talked about some I guess, esoteric knowledge to kind of bring it all home. And so I just want to make sure from yesterday's reading, if you haven't caught it, I know I've posted it over here on Facebook because this is a Facebook live stream. I am going to upload this to YouTube, but I want to call out yesterday in particular in this chapter when I was reading about the reptilian mind, okay? And I want to call something out really quick. And I'm just going off the cuff here, so just work with me for a second. Now, chapter 6, the anatomy of the implant. It says, and I'm going to reread this, and if you've seen the video, then it'll kind of prompt you for what I said yesterday. But it says, for those of you who haven't seen the video but need context, Claudia was having a conversation with one of the ancestral humans, Helen Morse, okay? And she was explaining to him, she was breaking down what this is and why things are the way they are. She was answering his questions. And so she said, I'll try to explain it in this way. And so Claudia had asked about, let's back it up, an implant that's in our brain, okay? And she said, yes, imagine it is an extremely fine network composed of protein microfibers. It's not something you would ever notice. It's small and has always been mistaken for natural tissue. It was implanted at the very beginning of this cycle, which would mean the end of Tartary, right? The reset in 1728. That's why I'm covering this, okay? Because we're layering it together and building a foundation. They've had this technology for a long time. So this was implanted at the very beginning of this cycle. So it's not considered foreign in any modern lab studies. Okay, so if you were to dissect the human brain and you look at the pineal gland, which is here, it's the third eye, the seat of the soul. She said, between those fibers, they embedded structures similar to the apatite crystals, but with altered properties capable of receiving and emitting frequencies. These are not metallic pieces or visible circuits, but biological structures designed to blend in with the human body. They are not microchips like the ones you may have heard about in the stories of the alien abductions, like with the Greys, okay? This is something else entirely. These beings have developed the ability to craft nanofibers that perfectly mimic biological tissue. And I pointed this out yesterday that, when you got the ouchie Fauci, some people have unfortunately met their demise, okay? And when they are attempting to embalm the bodies, all right, undertakers, are finding out that they are not able to do it in a timely fashion. What would take 45 minutes is now taking 2 and 3 hours because the tissues are blocked. The what do you call it? Your blood vessels or your veins are blocked where they can't get the embalming fluid in. And then when they go to start pulling this fibrous tissue out, it's in the arteries and it's blocking the pathways so that the embalming fluid can't get in. My point is that I thought of that. And I also thought about the Morgellon fibers. Go look it up on your phone. Morgellon fibers. These little like tissue fibers that people were finding. They're pulling it out of their skin. Some out of their eyes, ears, and hands, and fingernails, and things like that. Look that up. So I'm just going to tell you, the technology is there. Now I want to show you a picture of this. The Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt is the same as the Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber of the brain. Look at this. Okay. All right. Why am I talking about this? The temple of God in the Bible. Look at this. Take a screenshot of it. All right. I'm going to read this real quick. It says, Job 19:25, yet from my flesh I shall see God. The side of the head regions are called temples. Temple. Okay, which is, temple is the old Canaanite word for God within. All right, we know that. And the upper room, the inner chamber, the land flowing with milk and honey, Mount Zion, the Lamb of God, and the cherubim. Okay. And I know I've talked about this before, but I'm wanting to bring this in because there is always a way to get out of things. I'm trying to tell you. I mean, yeah, they make it difficult and they make it, they make it a challenge. But like I was saying, Tim is a place of worship. El is the old Canaanite word for God. And I'm going to read this up. So it says, when the Bible states in Matthew 21:12, Jesus went into the temple of God, this should not be interpreted merely as a reference to a physical building. Jesus himself clarifies in 1 Corinthians 3:16, do you not know that you are the temple of God? This suggests that the temple Yeshua speaks of is symbolic of the inner self, the sacred space within each person where one can connect with God. See, they are attempting to disconnect us from source, and they're doing a damn good job of it. All right. Now, if you want to say this is for entertainment purposes only, there's no support behind anything. I'm just going to say you're not the person that you need to be listening to anything I have to say, because your mind is so focused and you're so indoctrinated on what you see in front of you. You ain't going to even be able to understand. This message is only for a few people. All right. That's all I'm going to say. So it says, when Jesus enters a temple, it symbolizes the act of turning inward, seeking a deep connection with the divine presence that resides within all of us. In this book, she even says that there's a space within us that they cannot get to. Doesn't matter what kind of implants we have, how many frequencies and things that they bombard us with these cell phone towers, our internet, HARP, every kind of thing you can think of, they are attacking us 24/7. And most people don't even know it. But see, like Yaki Awaken said on one of his videos, we adapt. We are powerful beings. We are powerfully, wonderfully made. Don't care if Yakub made these temples. We still carry that spark and that source in the Shama, the inner soul. Okay. And so we will be able to rise above this. Okay. I know I said I didn't have any hope for humanity as a collective, but I do have knowledge of this, and I have an understanding, an understanding, and an overstanding. And I'm here to tell you that there are going to be some of us that make it. Might not be all, but there's going to be a few. All right. That's my point. So it says, when Jesus enters the temple, it symbolizes the act of turning inward, seeking a deep connection with the divine presence that resides within us. The connection with God can only be achieved when the mind is free from distractions and thoughts, allowing the higher aspects of consciousness to be awakened. This inner journey is essential for spiritual growth and understanding. After Yeshua leaves the temple, he declares, I tell you the truth, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down. Here he emphasizes that physical buildings, which people often consider sacred, are ultimately temporary and insignificant. If you've been listening to anything I've said, you know there's been multiple resets, and these big, beautiful buildings that they have been repurposed and reused for courthouses, universities, asylums, prisons. Some are even residential homes and palaces of the elites. You know, those buildings withstood the mud flood, right? But the buildings we currently have are shitty. They won't survive nothing, okay? And they maybe were built intentionally like that to go away like matchboxes, just like it happened last month here in Texas with Camp Mystic, with all those children and people being woke up and swept away in the middle of the night. I'm just simply saying to you that we keep continually looking outwardly when we need to go inwardly. So I'm providing you the text, okay? So after that, it says, he emphasizes the physical buildings, which people often consider sacred, are ultimately temporary and insignificant. These structures will eventually crumble and every stone will erode away. True worship and connection with God do not depend on external temples. Do not depend on external buildings. Do not depend on external temples. Instead, they require turning inward, entering one's own temple, which is the mind, and connecting with the divine source within. We got too many minds, too many chatter, working on nerves about work, stressing about paying bills, stressing about doing this, that, and the other, going over here, going out with friends, going to drink, going to the bar, going to take a vacation, going shopping, graduations, weddings, whatever. You're focused on the wrong shit. The stuff you need to be focused on is within you. Sorry for my language. I'm passionate about this because if I can connect the pieces, then hot damn it, somebody else should be able to too. That's all I'm trying to say. So in Luke 11:52, Yeshua says, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. You have taken away the key of knowledge. Talking about the Pharisees, talking about those who run around in these churches, these mega churches, especially here in Houston. I ain't got to name no names. Running around here is supposed to be a man of God, of the cloth, pope, whatever you want to call yourself, reverend. I don't reverence no one but the creator of all. I don't reverence any man. I don't worship any man. Sorry, I do not. And matter of factly, now that I understand what I know, I will not say that I sit up here and I worship Yeshua. Yeshua, that's a convoluted one, and I have to address that another time. I'm just going to say this. Yes, there was a person named Emmanuel. Yes, there was a person named Quasimodo. Yes, there was a person named Joshua. Okay. That entity or being existed, as well as other Kalki avatars that have existed over the time that they don't want you to know about. And this goes back from the Egyptians, goes back from the Atlanteans, goes back from the Hyperboreans, which is the very first one seated in this dome. I'm just simply saying, you got to read. I won't worship or reverence any man. It will always be the creator of all which lives within me. Will I reverence myself? No. I need to, but I don't. When I say I need to, meaning I need to hold myself accountable and walk in my truth. And I'm attempting to do that now, right? But when you have years and years of programming, you got to clean the cup of muck. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm simply telling you on camera, it ain't easy. You know, because once you're stuck in that mindset, it's hard to kind of flip the script and go back and forth, back and forth. But what does it say? You know, better for you to build a house with, what is that? What is that Bible verse? I'm thinking of matchsticks versus stones. Like you want to have a strong foundation, right? And the foundation I'm speaking of is what I'm reading to you right now. So you have that understanding. And maybe somebody hasn't broken it down like this before. I don't know. But it says, he says, Luke 11:52, Yeshua says, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. You did not enter in yourselves, pointing out that the key to spirit knowledge and enlightenment is lost when we fall or we fail to turn inward. When we fail to turn inward, we lose the key to spiritual knowledge and enlightenment. And that's because when we go to these temples, they don't tell you to sit in silence and worship in silence and meditate. You want to sing, fish fries, dances, pastors' meetings, this Bible study, I'm not putting people down. If that's what you want to do, you want to continue to worship these places, go into these buildings and these religions. I'm simply telling you, you are so far removed from the creator of all and the truth, you don't even know. Okay. I'm breaking it down to you. You don't know. It's your choice. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just simply explaining to you that you're not looking at it from this perspective, right? So it says, you do not enter in yourselves, pointing out that the key to spiritual knowledge and enlightenment is lost when we fail to turn inward. Only by entering within ourselves can we gain insight into our true nature and the divine presence. The key to the knowledge lies in the practice of going within. Furthermore, in Luke 6:6, Yeshua advises, when thou prayest, enter into thine inner chamber, and having shut thy door. The inner chamber represents the mind. Shut off all the chatter. And closing the door signifies quieting your thoughts and prevent us from accessing higher, quieting the thoughts that prevent us from accessing higher levels of consciousness. By closing our eyes and silencing the mind, we open ourselves to a deeper connection with God, allowing our consciousness to expand and reach new heights of spiritual understanding. This inward journey is the true path to worship and connection with the divine. The Bible is a spiritual and psychological text that conceals its teachings within parables and symbolic metaphors. Its wisdom is not always meant to be taken literally, but rather to be understood on a deeper and more introspective level. That's what I had to say about that. So, what we're going to get into now is chapter 8, Custodial Orbs. We're going to be reading from Can We Escape Simulation? Beautiful picture. Check it out. Okay. Remember now, when you go outside and you look up, that's not the sky. That's a projection. The waters above is what it really looks like, the ocean. All right. We are in the middle. So there's waters above and there's waters beneath us. All right. So it says, I have received several reports and texts from Helen that reinforce all the ideas we had discussed up until that point, and that in time, point in time, would be added to other ancestral accounts. Many of these documents were also based on information from the book of Shaki, which is the giant woman who had given all this knowledge to William Morris, along with the great map of Terra Infinita. All right. And you can go over on Claudio Nos Confundren's website and get a blanket and, order you a map so you really know what it looks like what they're hiding from us. Okay. Yeah. Some of you are going to say, oh, it's pseudoscience. It's not real. That's not what they teach us in academia. As I've said before, either you have the mind to see it or you don't. Okay. So it says, because the amount of information is so vast, I've decided to write down everything I discovered during those long, sleepless nights in order to prevent both mental noise and time from erasing crucial details. These are the notes. The visible reality within the so-called known lens, which is here, right, is a construction designed to protect the custodial narrative. The invisible dome projector operates on multiple levels. So we're talking about within the ice walls, okay? And for the person who sent me a message saying, why come they only started talking about the ice walls after Game of Thrones? No. Back up. 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s. And even before then in the 1800s, there have been sailors that have gone past that point and went through some hellacious turmoil. Some didn't make it back and some did. But there's been accounts out there of people, especially Admiral Byrd. There's other admirals too. There's other papers out there. All right. Number one, multiple levels. We're going to go through it. Visual projection. It projects skies, stars, and planets and astronomical events intended to keep the human mind mapped into the idea of an infinite cosmos. Its goal is to reinforce the feeling of insignificance and disconnect human beings from the link with the celestial lands. 2, a vibrational language of distorted frequencies. Each projected image is accompanied by a vibrational pattern that interacts with specific areas of the brain, particularly those made vulnerable after the conclusion of the last cycle. It is clarified that what is projected is merely light, but encoded information, okay? So those are 2 things. Hey, Eric, there are 2 things that happens, okay, when you have this dome projector that we're talking about, all right? I'm just going to simply say, you guys got to do your research, but I'm sharing this information because I think it's fascinating, and a lot of people aren't talking about this. Or only very few are talking about it, right? So then it says, their main characteristics appear to be, they are real technological structures, not holographic, all right? So when you see this incoming whatever coming, supposedly a meteorite, right? Because you know it's supposed to be coming in 2030, California. It's supposed to fly so many miles right over California. My point is, when you see this thing coming inbound, they have the capability to have real technological structures with this thing. All right. So then he says, they seem to move autonomously or by remotely guided by another force. Their composition includes unknown alloys and materials that allow partially invisibility or mimicry with the projected background, although they have been seen and many times, okay, even recorded by the new humanity, which we see them all the time, supposedly with these telescopes that we have. Because I have a telescope. You know, I look up at the stars too. I look up at the moon and I see, it looks like I see shit on the moon, but I mean, I know it's a holographic image, right? So then it says, they emit bursts of high luminosity and are often seen in the night sky, right? They emit frequencies in both visible and electromagnetic ranges and inaudible vibrational bands, allowing them to go unnoticed by most conventional human radar systems. There are some glasses. I think I did a presentation over this maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago. There were some glasses that this guy invented. And of course, the powers that be, I'm going to say the CIA and some other whack-a-moles, banned this particular chemical, where this guy put these glasses on, and I want to say it's Dyson. It starts with a D. I just can't think of the name of it. But anyway, you wear these glasses, you put them on, and you start to see shit around you that's not there. So you take the glasses off and you don't see shit. Then you put the glasses on and you see all kind of shit you wish you hadn't seen. My point is that when this guy put these glasses on, he could see these entities walking around, like the movie They Live with Roddy Piper, and he also could see these UFOs in the sky. All right, I'm just going to tell you. I know how that sounds, but got to do your research. I'm telling you, there's some crazy shit out there. You know, you can spend your whole lifetime trying to unwind this shit, but they've done a great job in misleading a lot of people. I'm just going to tell you. So then it says, among other functions, they also said to monitor human biology, so they can read us, scan us. That's why they're doing this whole facial recognition and, scanning with your retina and your fingerprints and stuff like that. I mean, we are moving towards this exponentially, and most people don't even understand that with the real ID, which we had in Texas since like 2016. So, even before I was on this level of knowledge and understanding, I had a real ID from back then. So I'm just going to tell you, everything that they're moving towards now is going to be digital. All right. It's coming. So they can read our biology, intervene psycho-emotionally, maintain the projection, self-regulate the environment, and monitor climate modifications, among others. They got this dome locked down. When you guys think that you're looking at the weather forecast and saying a hurricane's coming in, because now there's a hurricane supposed to be coming in now. I don't think it's going to hit the Gulf. I think it's going to be staying out in the Atlantic. But my point is, when you start to see all these things and these weather storms, anomalies like the flooding in Tennessee and all this bad weather that's coming through, they're doing that shit. I've read the patents to you guys. I pulled them up on my laptop and showed you. They've been doing this shit since the last fall, the last mud flood in the 1800s. They've got the capability to do it. And when you see these cell phone towers, they're not for the fucking phones. It's a military grade weapon. That's all I'm gonna say. In other countries, like Belfast, they're burning the damn towers. They're setting them on fire and blowing them up. They just don't want you to see it. You got to go on other sources so you can actually get the real news of what's really going on. The other people around the world have said they've had enough with the bullshit and they're starting to do shit, But here we are in America still arguing about whether we're black, whether we're African American, whether a man should wear a dress and dress up with lipstick, or where a woman should wear, I don't know, boxers. And I mean, everybody's running around here all fucking confused over here. I'm telling you. Anyway, my point is, what he's saying is, one part of the report refers to these orbs as the guardians of the simulation, ensuring that no failures occur, or if they do, they are repaired almost automatically. So they have these little orbs you see in the sky that run a complete scan on the holograph or the projector in the sky. So if you ever see some weird orbs or something, you want to say they're UFOs, they're technology. All right. They're technology that the elites have. All right. Underground bases, underground bunkers, whatever you want to call it, the black ops, they've got the technology, right? And it says, official explanations will always describe them as atmospheric lights or reflections. They got to give us some kind of bullshit story, y'all. Or lenses, flares, and artifacts. As is often the case, certain revelations in the media are controlled doses of truth, released to keep the narrative under control, and people like me considered to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? If I mention something or say something, people like us who have a critical mind and think about things and put things together, but there's the other ones who are sheeple and just follow right along with what they say on the news. It says, what gets leaked is quickly surrounded by abstract scientific explanations so that the majority won't understand it, and the few who do will settle for the official versions. True research is carried out in secrecy, and the general public is excluded from any involvement. All right. Like William Cooper said before he was unalived a while ago, if the masses really knew here in the Americas, if people really understood what the government was actually behind and what they were doing, they would lose their shit. I'm trying to tell you, they would lose their shit. They would lose their mind. Do you not know that when we look at TV and we see the sci-fi and the technology, we've had that for years. They had that shit before Tartary. They had robots in the 17 and 1600s. Hey, son, they had robots back then. So it's like, it's crazy to think that people just aren't clicking. Now, I'm going to read this last part and then I'm going to jump off of here because I'm almost out of time for my lunch. Chapter 9, information in the mass media. Check this out. Another very important topic is that it wasn't uncommon to come across supposed truths in the mass media outlets. This always left me full of doubt as I couldn't quite grasp how many things appeared now and then, even in mainstream channels or in official documents. There are always fragments that manage to escape, strange phenomena, inconsistent data, eyewitnesses to unexplained events, and reports from explorers who never return. So you got these 4 things that are going on. But here lies the true mastery of the system that they created. Everything that leaks is quickly wrapped in extremely complex scientific explanations, like your Neil deGrasse Tyson and all those people, right? Helen insisted that this serves a dual purpose for this reason, okay? For the vast majority of people, those explanations are too convoluted and they end up ignoring them entirely, like, give a crap, like most people ignore the stuff, right? For the other group, the theories provide an illusion of certainty. They believe they found a rational answer and feeling satisfied, okay? They accept it, convinced that everything still fits within the domain of known physical laws. This is how even partial truths help preserve the integrity of the system. It's not enough to simply hide the facts. One must also bury the true interpretation of those facts beneath layers of technical and academic language. See, gatekeepers. They got the gatekeepers to set up. Like I said, since the fall of Tartary and the Reconstruction, which I showed you the custodians dropping off these damn Cabbage Patch babies in the field. All right. And I had Cabbage Patch when I was a kid. It was in the 70s. This was before I had Alex, my son who's joining us. Cabbage Patch. Look, the Dark Brotherhood. There's the spaceship, airship, and then you got these people out here. Yeah, because they're repopulating the planet. I'm trying to tell you that. It's all coming together. Now do you guys see it? So then it says, this is how even partial truths help preserve the integrity of the system. It's not enough to simply hide the facts. One must also bury the true interpretations of these facts beneath layers of technical and academic language. Sometimes they do this deliberately so that a truth remains buried forever. And if anyone dares to dig it up, it will be ridiculed. Other times, certain things come to light for different reasons, often through the experiments of independent individuals, okay, and unexpected discoveries, personal experiences, or even due to the infiltrations by the ancients who leak information. You got to know that there are ancestral humans here from beyond the ice walls that are working in our benefit and working for the betterment of mankind. And you also have to know that there are giants that live in the inner world and also in these deep underground bases. I'm telling you. So it says, having a voice within these known lands while standing outside what is considered academia is incredibly difficult, regardless of how truthful or important that voice may be. Your voice will be silenced. Look at Graham Hickok. Look at all the stuff they said about him. And what's that other guy? David Wilcock and Corey Good and so many other people. Now, I know sometimes these people may say they're whistleblowers, but oftentimes they may just be there to mislead the public and go down this other rabbit hole. I'm just simply saying, if you have something worthy to speak on and you have factual proof, they're going to debunk you. Okay, that's just it. They're going to do what they're going to do. So the last part, it says, it doesn't matter what you've seen or experienced. Anything lacking academic endorsement is now seen as a kind of heresy, heresy, delusion, conspiracy theory, kook. And that perhaps has been the most effective strategy of all to uphold the invisible dome projector and the entire system surrounding it, because controlling the narrative is also what? Controlling the mind, right? So this is a picture, and when I come back, we're going to get into chapter 10 and 11, celestial lands. Look at the sky. It's the waters above. Look at that. And the Om device. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I see when I look at that picture. But, I just wanted to come on here and read a couple chapters to you guys, and just recall some things that I have read over the last couple of days, because we're going through this fast, man, because, I read chapter 8, custodial orbs, and then I read over just now chapter 9, the information in the mass media and how they utilize this stuff against us, right? And then I also read from the book of wisdom, the temple of God in the Bible, which is our mind. And then I also talked about what I read yesterday with the type of nanofibers that they created and they implanted. And it's actually more of a biological thing now, right? They've implanted this nanofibrous material over the pineal gland, right? So not only it can act as a receiver and a transmitter, but what they're doing now is they're cloaking it. So really and truly, I say, in order for you to get to where Alex was when he fasted for 40 days, you really got to give up a lot of stuff. And that means unplugging from the world, limiting your intake on social media, news, even your friends and your family. You might have to cut a lot of that shit off. And as a matter of fact, I know you will, because when you start to walk in your truth and you go within, you are building that connection. You're building your internal house. You're building a connection with source, reconnecting with the creator of all, right? Like Alex was saying, you get your ID, for lack of a better word, you are self-recognized. And once you step back in that truth, or you walk in that light and you become Christed, entangled, nirvana, whatever you want to call it, because it's got many names, then you will understand what this is. And then you'll be able to walk in the truth, and whatever purpose, mission that the creator of all and you have set out, that's what you will, fulfill in time, but we have to start somewhere. If you don't start now, you never will. But it's like I said, we're exponentially moving towards a time of where they are going to do another reset. I mean, you see all the hurricanes, the floodings, the fault lines, the new things that they're finding all the time. They're putting so much out in the news that people are just oversensitized with all the information. And it's hard for people to focus on that. And so when you start bombarding people with different things, what do? You shut down and you don't listen to any of it. And then it may actually be something that's factual and truth that actually happens. But because you were oversensitized by it and you've blocked out a lot of stuff, you miss the information, right? So I'm just simply saying, we were born with what we need, and we need to go back in and we need to tap into our truth existence. And it's one space, the neshama, which they call our ancestrals from the celestial lands, our ancestors, the ancestor humans. They call it neshama, the spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call, is a space that's within us that the elites, the custodians, and the Anunnaki cannot touch. Those that control this paradigm, this simulation. They can't touch that part of us. And that's the part that you need to seek out for the betterment of yourself and for you to reconnect and be the being that you are meant to be. Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm going to jump off of here because I am still at lunch. I got a few more minutes. I'm going to take the puppies out and let them handle their business. And then I'm back to working. So I will talk to you guys soon. Remember what I always say, be the change you want to see all around this Earth Dome, because it's up to you and I to make a positive change. And Alex, I'm going to call you in like 10 seconds. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.